Hey folks, Ali here. Just a quick note. I was in the midst of a Scottish windstorm when I had this fantastic conversation with Dr. Betty Martin. So there's some words that got a little wonky from time to time, but I had so much fun having this conversation. Enjoy it. I loved it, and I think you will too.
It's funny we say, well, I'm in my body, I'm not in my body. Well, of course you're in your body because there's nowhere else to be. Like you're in your body. So what does it mean to be, quote, in your body? I think it just means being aware of the constant stream of sensation that's coming into your consciousness with varying degrees of awareness about it.
Hey, brilliant body. I'm Ali Mazet, a body based practitioner for over 40 years. I created this podcast as a space to explore what it means to be rather than have a body. Together with my incredible guests, pioneers, body masters, and trailblazers, we'll challenge old paradigms and expand the meaning and experience of intelligence through the lens of the body. Whether you feel adrift or overwhelmed as a body due to pain, conditioning, or a lack of education and guidance, or you already feel at home as a body but want to deepen your awareness, pleasure, and communion, this podcast is for you. So let's reclaim and celebrate the brilliance of being bodies together. So, my next brilliant guest, Betty Martin, I first learned about when I was taking a sexological bodywork training, and she was part of the curriculum, specifically her Wheel of Consent, which is a massive contribution to the world, particularly in the somatic therapy and relationship realm. So, you're going to hear all about it through this amazing conversation. I am so honored to have gotten to have with Betty, and hopefully will continue to have, because she's a great favorite of mine as a teacher and as a human. And her work is so significant, not just for people in the healing professions, but also for any and all bodies that want to wake up all the more into their full capacity for touch, for pleasure, for somatic communication, giving and receiving, taking and accepting, as you will get to hear. So please stick around and enjoy the brilliant Betty Martin. I'm not seeing you quite yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
There we go. Click on that thing. Nice to
This
see.
nice to see you. This is a dream come true because, as
Oh,
I told you when I saw you, when I first thought of doing the Brilliant Body podcast, you were the top person on the list. And I thought,
oh.
oh, Betty's so fancy and everybody is going to want to talk to Betty and she's so in demand. I don't know if I could ever get her here, but here you are. And thank you.
And what's the theme?
The intelligence of the body. And of course, the work that you do that is so based in touch and the intelligence of touch, smack in the center. So, a bunch of things I want to get to, but of course, I want to talk all about the Wheel of Consent, which is such an indelible contribution to the sexological world specifically, but also just the world at large, because it brings to light these four quadrants, which we'll get into. But I also just wanted to tell you that workshop I took with you in Oakland, it must have been 10 years ago now,
Gosh, yeah, it's a
on
long time ago.
Like a Pro that you taught, was one of the two best workshops I've ever taken in my life on anything. And the only other one that was so important for me was BAM. In the Bay Area, there was a model mugging class that I took a good
Oh my
20 years prior
gosh,
to this. You
yes.
remember those classes? And it was these amazing
Oh,
men
those
who
are
would give,
fabulous. Yeah,
and women learned to take them down in a
yeah,
way that
yeah,
was so revelatory and so
yeah.
full on in the body, neuromuscular pathways, that it
Hmm.
gave people a sense of empowerment. So
Yeah,
I put
yeah.
you right up with BAM, Betty.
I'm very honored.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So would you just start with how you even became aware of the power of touch and the necessity for it in the way that you have and the way you've expressed it
Mm,
emotionally and personally throughout your life?
that's a really great question. I was a hippie, so there's a lot of touch going on. Puppy piles and hot springs and stuff. And touch has always been very comfortable for me. So
Mm.
I'm very lucky.
Even in your
Yeah,
family?
yeah, there was some affectionate touch. There was hugs and stuff. So I'm very lucky in that way. And then I studied chiropractic. I was a chiropractor for 30 years. So there's a lot
Ah,
of touch there. Of course, it's all going one direction. And in my 40s, I took some workshops with the Body Electric School on women's eroticism. And that opened a whole new world for me in a very good way, in a very powerful way. And I spent some years taking more workshops and meeting with friends and a lot of exploring. Eros as a driving force, as a creative force. It wasn't about getting laid. It was, what is my body capable of? What
mm.
happens when I'm this turned on? What happens when I move and dance and cry? I was already pretty good at crying, but so yeah, just a really deep dive into the power of Eros as a moving force in my body and in the world, and was on that journey for a number of years. And at some point, I realized I want to bring what I have discovered to other people. And also, as a chiropractor, I was using my hands in my healing work, and I realized at some point, I want to use my whole body. I want to bring my whole body into the healing process. So I closed my chiropractic office, moved to the city, Seattle, and opened a new studio doing sacred intimate work, which is essentially sex work with a purpose, I guess you could say, guiding people into erotic states of high arousal sometimes and supporting them in their self-discovery. That was really fun. I loved that work. And yeah, it was making it up as we went along. There were some other people doing it, but it wasn't a profession you could go get trained in. That came later.
You find it difficult to keep your chiropractic training out of that? When you were engaging with
Yeah.
bodies, you felt misalignments or blockages or anything, you weren't
No,
tempted. No,
no,
wow.
I was done with chiropractic. Yeah, yeah. I loved that profession while it was happening, and I did
Mhm.
it for 20 years or something, and then I got tired of it and I was ready for something else. So I never looked back because I was ready for that change. Yeah. Yeah. So then I was working with clients, and that's where I think I learned about the power of touch because up until that time, I've been playing with my peers and other touch bunnies. And then chiropractic was a very structured use of touch. It didn't feel personal.
Yeah.
And when I started working with clients using sensation and touch and eros, then I noticed, wow, people sometimes have a really hard time here. And also in those exploring years, we did a lot of massage and things that cemented the understanding that touch is powerful. And in
Mm.
particular, pleasurable touch. And pleasure was the healing modality that we were
Mhm.
using. Yeah, what happens to me emotionally, physiologically, spiritually when I'm experiencing states of deep pleasure? Holy shit, things change, things heal, things are put back together, things are ripped apart, things happen. So that's where I learned that pleasure is a healing modality just by itself. And working with clients, that's where I learned that, oh, touch is difficult for many people because I
Yeah.
hadn't really had that experience so much. And knowing what kind of touch you might want at any moment is difficult for people. And a lot of people thought that they were somehow supposed to be okay with whatever touch was happening.
Yeah.
There's reason for that because that's how we, for the most part, grow up as very small children. Touch happens, and we don't have any choice about it. And it may be pleasant, it may not, probably not. You're getting your teeth brushed, you're getting your nappies changed, like, it's just hard, and you don't have any choice in it. And so
Mhm.
you grow up learning that the nature of touch is that stuff happens. It just happens, and you gotta deal with it. And so if you're lucky, you have some experiences as you get older or as you grow up that teach you that you do have some choice about touch. But many people never really have a chance to learn that. And then you get
Mhm.
old enough to become sexually active, and it's the same damn thing. Okay, this person's doing this thing to me, and I'm supposed to like it. I don't really like it, but what's wrong with me? Because the
Mhm.
people in the video liked it. So you have this attitude about touch that is, I'm supposed to be okay with it. So help me learn how to be okay with the stuff that I don't really like. That's not what I was interested in. Yeah.
Or shut down and
Yeah.
shut off completely.
Yeah. And some people are terrified of touch. Naturally so, if you don't know that you have a choice about it, of course you're going to be afraid of it because something had happened that you don't like.
Mm.
And many people, when it comes to sexual touch and pleasurable touch, don't know what it's like to have something done to them that's really wonderful. They don't know
Mhm.
what it's like. They've never had that experience because they've spent
Mhm.
their entire sexual lives putting up with stuff that was kind of okay, but not really great because they don't know that there are things that they would like and how to know what that is and ask for it. So that became much more interesting to me. And so it was working with clients that showed me the power of touch and the importance of touch. And even more than that, showed me the importance of choosing, the ability to choose what you wanted and what you didn't want, and what you're okay with, and the difference between what you want and what you're okay with. That became very huge, became very obvious. So, even more than the power of touch, which is tremendous, is the power to choose what kind of touch you want, if, when, and how, and with whom you want it. What changes your experience of touch is not the touch, it's the choosing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and of course, to choose, you have to know yourself in a way
Yeah,
that can be extremely
yeah,
difficult to discover. And that's
yeah,
one of the most powerful and healing aspects of that workshop I experienced of yours is beginning not with any kind of sexual or erotic touch, but just
mm-mm,
touch of an object. So
yeah.
will you talk about the wheel of consent or maybe begin with how you even teach people not just how to touch, but how to recognize the kind of touch that they do and don't want.
That's a great question because unless you've been touched a lot, you may not know, and that's
Yeah.
fine. The wheel of consent grew out of a practice called the 3-minute game, which I learned at one of those workshops. The 3-minute game is a game for two people. You ask each other two questions, and then you negotiate and do whatever you've agreed on based on those two questions. And so by the time there's two people and you each ask two questions, that means there's going to be 4 rounds. And that's where the
Mhm.
quadrants come from, which I'll get to in a minute. But the two questions are, what do you want me to do to you for 3 minutes? Oh, I can think of some fun things I might like to have you do to me for 3 minutes. And so then you ask for that and you negotiate. And if it's agreeable to both of you, then you set the timer and you go for 3 minutes. So you do that both ways. And then the second question is, what do you want to do to me for 3 minutes? Very different question.
Yeah.
Now I'm asking what you want to do to me. How do you want to touch me? And that question is not, what do you want to do to me that you think I'm going to like? That's not the question. The question
Yeah.
is, what do you want to do to me? Or another version, how do you want to touch me? That's for you, which is basically, here I am, feel me up in whatever way you want. That's a very different experience than, will you give me a back rub? Now you're asking, may I feel up your arms, or may I feel your back, or may I play with your hair, or may I sniff your neck, or may I squeeze your legs? So that second question threw people a lot. People were very confused by it. And it took me a while to understand why, because I was such a touchy-feely person already. And because I had done chiropractic and I felt a lot of bones and a lot of necks. So I knew how to take in information with my hands. And it was easy also to enjoy the sensation I was taking in with my hands. And that is not true for everybody. And it took me a while to notice that, wait a minute, this is hard for people. It's hard for people to feel somebody up, even if you have permission, because, oh, you feel guilty. Am I allowed to do this? Are they going to like it? And I have to keep them happy. All those things come in. Some guilt will often come in.
Yeah. I don't want to be selfish. I don't want to be
Yeah,
the
you don't want to be
asshole.
selfish,
Just,
right? And it's become a big no-no. You don't just go feeling people up for very good reason. You don't actually just go feeling people up unless you have an agreement that it's okay to do that. And then it becomes really joyfully empowering and just delightful because we're mammals. We like to feel things and we like each other and we want to feel each other. Of course we do. Like we're monkeys. And so when you finally get permission to do that, it's just fabulous. It's great fun. And of course, you respect the other person's boundaries. You
yeah.
don't just get to do whatever you want. You get to do what they have agreed to let you do.
Negotiation, of course, is
Hmm.
the operative word. There is a lot of that. But one of the
Hmm.
things that I love doing that exercise or that experience is if people are able and willing to take the time to really explore within themselves and
Hmm.
ask their bodies and themselves what it is they do want, you get to find out something so honest and
Yeah,
intimate about that
yeah,
person that normally they would admit, like, whoa, that person wants to do this. I would never
yeah,
have guessed that in a million
yeah,
years. And it's very flattering in a deep way to find out
yeah,
that they actually want that from me. That can give them pleasure to
yeah,
allow that to
yeah,
happen. It's a very
yeah,
different feeling than feeling exploited.
yeah. Yes, it's not being exploited at all. What I came to see after playing with this for a while, mostly with my clients, was that there's a gift here. And if you're giving somebody a back rub or massage or something, then it's easy to see that if you're giving the back rub, you're giving the gift. You're giving the gift of your time and your attention and the action that's coming out of your hands. And that gift is going from the doer to the person who's done to. But when I'm feeling you up, there's also a gift, but it's going the other direction. Now
Mhm.
you are giving me a gift, and that gift is access to your body. That's a significant gift, and it's a real gift.
So I just want to pause for a moment because I'm sure that can trigger people. Just hearing the term being felt up, feeling me
Hmm.
up, that easily goes back to cars and
Yes,
boobs. And
right. Yeah,
that's where my mind goes about
yeah,
being a teenager and not necessarily pleasant things.
yeah,
And so I just want to acknowledge that even hearing that can bring up defensiveness or even an alarm in people.
yeah.
And that in itself begins to be very healing to explore this with a partner, even somebody you love and trust. It could bring up this kind of anxiety that
Sure.
then, as
Yeah.
it becomes conscious, you can begin to work with it and go, oh my
Hmm.
God, I'm scared you're going to either hurt me or use me or objectify in some
Hmm.
way, which is such an amazing shift to
Hmm.
then realize, wow, as you just said, I'm actually giving this gift to this person because
Yeah,
it's giving them pleasure and I care
yeah,
about this person. I want to
yeah,
return that favor.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the reason I say feeling up is because the word feeling has just too many meanings. It's too broad.
Mhm.
And when I say,
Mhm.
what are you feeling? I could mean what's in your hands that you're exploring to get
Yeah,
information about, or
yeah.
I could mean what's your emotional state, or lots of things I could mean. So that's why I say feel up, because people usually can recognize that's for the benefit of the person who's doing the touching. It's really difficult for most people to make that switch into I'm touching you, therefore it's got to be for you. That's like
Yeah.
by definition, it's got to be for you. And that's fine a lot of times. And I'm touching you and I'm touching you the way I want for the pleasure in my hands. That's a very different dynamic and it's a different mindset. It's a different agreement that gets you there. And many people just have a hard time wrapping their heads around it.
Do
Yeah.
you think that pleasure, and this could get us into all kinds of semantics, but that pleasure is necessarily, at least in part, selfish? It is self-oriented. You have to be aware and experiencing of yourself in order to fully experience pleasure. Would you agree with that? Or not necessarily?
I think, well, we have to define a few terms. Pleasure, I would define as a physiological state within yourself. Well,
Mm,
something's got to be happening within you for you to experience a state of pleasure, and it's certain parts of your brain light up. And sensory pleasure depends on some kind of sensation, whether you're listening to music or eating ice cream or feeling, touching each other. So it necessitates a certain amount of self awareness, I think. And there's also the pleasure of, there's intellectual pleasure, the pleasure of finding things out, the pleasure of playing a game of chess. There's other kinds of pleasure than sensory pleasure. There's the pleasure of good conversation and just the pleasure of seeing each other in pleasure. That's certainly pleasure. So, yeah, I define it really broadly. And selfish, that's an interesting word because when I was guiding people to touch for their own enjoyment, I was
mhm.
often trying to coach them verbally through it. And I would say, yeah, it's your chance to be selfish. And I thought, well, that'll help them. And some people it did. Oh, I get to be selfish here and feel your arm. It was helpful.
Yeah.
And for some people, it was a horrible word and they just couldn't
Yeah.
stand it. Just, no, I don't want to be selfish. And I realized that, well, there's different ways to use that word. And if selfish means I'm grabbing what I want without any regard for you, that's not what we're going for. If selfish means I'm putting myself first, not at your expense, but
Mhm.
in the limits that you've agreed to. That's another way to use the word selfish, and that's the way that I'm using it. But it's probably more accurate to say self-referenced or something, or self, I don't know. I'm not sure what word I'd use, but yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to point out that one of the beauties and challenges of the wheel and that particular quadrant for a lot of people is having to smack into their difficulty with distinguishing the difference between those two
Yes,
things. Part
absolutely.
of what you do, Betty,
Absolutely.
is wait a minute, those are two different things.
They're two different things. Yeah. A lot of things become unconflated in this practice. Yeah. So the four quadrant, yeah, going
Yeah,
back here to follow our thread here. So yeah, the 3-minute game, you end
yep.
up with 4 rounds. I do what I want. I do what you want. You do what you want. You do what I want. So you can see that in a couple of those I'm doing, a couple of them you're doing. And a couple of them
Mhm.
it's about what you want, and a couple of them it's about what I want. And so you end up with this grid of 4 quadrants that overlap. And so they needed names. So we gave them names.
Hey, folks, to see a diagram of this wheel of consent, pop over to the show notes and you'll be able to see it and it will help it be even clearer.
And when I do what you want, then I'm in the serving quadrant. Some people have trouble with the word serve because it connotes some subservience, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about I'm giving you the gift of my action based on what you want. So I'm in the serving quadrant. The one we've been talking about is the take quadrant, where I am doing to you what I want. I'm playing with your hair or whatever. I would call that taking. And that word is also problematic for a lot of people. However, I couldn't find another word for that. I looked, I really looked, couldn't find another word for it. And taking means I'm receiving the gift that you're giving me, which is the gift of your body. I'm receiving this gift, but I'm taking action to collect the gift. It's like the
Mhm.
difference between you can bring me over a basket of peaches from the tree in your yard, or you can say, come over and pick the peaches anytime you want. The gift is still the peaches, but I have to go and collect them. I have to take action to collect them. So that's the taking
Mhm.
quadrant. When you're doing to me what I want, I call that I'm in the accepting quadrant. And likewise, there's some problems with that word because for some people, accepting means, oh, well, okay, I guess I have to accept my lot in life.
Acquiescing.
I have to
Yeah.
accept this touch that you're doing to me, even though I don't want it. That's not what we're talking
Mhm.
about. We're talking
Yeah.
about, oh, here's a gift for me. I accept. Thank you. That's a different use of the word. So then the fourth quadrant is when you are doing to me what you want. And then I'm allowing you access to me. I'm allowing you to do this. Again, still respecting my boundaries. You can touch me, but only up to here. Or you can play with my hair, but don't pull it. Or you can play with my hair, but stay away from my ears, or whatever. You still get to have limits. You don't just do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, and there's so much specificity within that consent. It's
Hmm.
another one you teach
Yeah,
people about.
yeah,
So
yeah.
which quadrant do people have the hardest time with?
Taking, almost always. Yeah.
Yeah.
The serving quadrant, most people know what it is intellectually, or they think they do, and they want to be better at it because that's what, quote, makes them a good lover, unquote. They still have some things to learn about it, but at least they have some idea what it is. In the accepting quadrant, there's often some, I mean, it's vulnerable there, of course it is, and they may be uncomfortable and different things, but they can figure it out. The taking quadrant is hard for almost everybody. Almost everybody. After teaching it to more than 1,000 people, the number of people for whom it was easy and obvious was about six.
What was it about those six people in your observation and in memory?
Just the luck of the draw of having that accessible and having their hands already awake to take in information with their hands and just being comfortable
Mhm.
with it. And people have access to different aspects of themselves. For some people, it's extremely difficult. I've had people, it takes weeks or months of real struggle with it. And then when it clicks, it's just a huge revelation. Oh my God, I didn't realize I was doing this and this. And yeah, it's a big revelation. The allowing quadrant, where you're doing to me and I'm letting you do stuff. That one is all over the map. For some
Mm.
people, it's really easy. It's a piece of cake. It's, oh, yeah, this is fun. I don't have to do anything. And for other people, it's quite difficult because, holy shit, what's going to happen now? I don't know what's going to happen next. So there's a wide range there. And I came to see that the allowing quadrant, where if you're doing something to me, either the done to halves, I have to know in my bones that I have a choice about it. Otherwise, I can't enjoy it. And it makes sense, really, because if I don't know that I have a choice, then I have to steel myself for whatever's going to happen. And I don't know what's going to happen. And blah, blah, blah. When I know that I have a choice and I have the skill to exercise that choice, then yeah, that's a piece of cake. Are you kidding? Yeah. Yeah, help yourself.
And then receive the experience of what that person is wanting. Just because they want it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it and
Yeah.
experience it or not
Yeah.
particularly enjoy it, but stay within
Yeah.
your own experience of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you may be playing with my legs or something. It may feel terrific. It's great. Or it may be kind of, well, this is not really very pleasant, but I don't mind because it's something that the other person wants. That's okay too.
Yeah.
It could be the one. Yeah.
So will
Yeah.
you talk about how people learn to discern what they do or don't like? and how much that may or may not
Yeah.
have to do with, as you term it, waking up the hands, how much
Yeah.
of the hand being awake correlated with the whole body being awake.
Oh, that's a good one. One time when I was with a coaching client and I was coaching him verbally, he was feeling my arm and I was saying, okay, feel the texture, feel the little hair, squeeze it, feel the temperature. I was trying to coach him into paying attention to what his hands were feeling instead
Mhm.
of trying to produce a sensation in me. And it just wasn't going anywhere. And I looked over on the shelf next to us, and there was a stone, river stone, that had this interesting sort of texture. And I thought to myself, okay, let's see what you feel when there's no one to give to. So I picked up the
Yeah.
stone, put it in his hands. I said, okay, feel this. And he could tell it was a stone, but he could not take in any information about it. He just couldn't feel it. He's like, I don't get it. It wasn't going in. It wasn't going in his hands and up his arms and into his brain. It just wasn't going anywhere. And I realized then that, oh, it's not that he can't feel me. It's that he can't feel anything. Like his hands are just like not working. And because I had spent 50 years feeling people's neck bones, my hands were working, and I didn't realize until that moment how crucial that one piece is, which I think of neurologically, that the sensory nerves in your hand, they, of course, they connect to your brain, and that connection can be rusty. And if it is, and you can't feel much with your hands, you're not going to feel much of a person with your hands either. It's just not going to go anywhere. That's one exercise that we start with, and you can see it on the website. You can see it on YouTube,
Yeah.
that we take you through that. And we start everybody with that now and start the workshops with that. And it's surprisingly difficult for a lot of.
Yeah, I remember that basket of objects being
Yeah,
passed around. I hope
yeah,
that's a spoiler alert. But I mean, I just had my nails done a couple days ago, and I always have them really short because, as I said to her, I said, I feel blind if I can't
yeah,
feel my fingertips. Because I've also been
yeah,
feeling body for 40 years. So much information is constantly coming through my hands.
yeah.
And I'm wondering if you want to talk about homunculuses or homunculi. Do you
Yeah,
know about
yeah.
those?
That's it's fascinating. Homunculus, if you haven't heard of it, is a drawing that shows how much area of the brain is dedicated to taking in sensory input from different parts of your body. Your back, your arms are going to be fairly small. The lips are huge, meaning in the drawing they're huge, meaning that there's a larger surface area of the brain dedicated to taking in sensory information with your lips. Your lips and your genitals are, of course, very sensitive, lots of nerve endings there. The hands, they're right up there with the lips and genitals.
No, they're bigger. They're
Are they?
more. But of course, there's variation. If
Yeah,
you show yours in my brain or a pianist's brain, of course, our
yeah,
homuncula,
yeah, yeah,
it would be even
yeah, yeah,
bigger.
that's true.
For example,
Yeah,
would have maybe his lips or genitals would be
yeah, yeah,
more
yeah,
indicated. I don't know, but there does seem to be quite a correlation. I
yeah,
remember reading an article years ago about how pianists brains or certain aspects of their cognitive intelligence would tend to develop much more
yeah,
because their hands were so
yeah,
involved hours and hours of every day, and that it
yeah,
really had an
yeah,
effect on
fascinating.
development as well.
Yeah, I've read that recently about the importance of hand involvement in actual cognitive development in small children.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
yeah, it's interesting.
wake up your hands. Go to the video,
Yeah,
watch the little thing. Yeah.
I love it. I'm even wondering if you would give people, we do that sometimes on the Brilliant Body podcast, is have a little guided experiential, if you'd be willing to do that. How much time do you have, Betty? I should have
I
asked
have
you
time.
that.
I have time.
You do?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good.
I want to get back to that question about how to start to discover what you want because
Yes, please.
a lot of people If you haven't had a lot of experience with pleasant touch, you might not know what you want. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that's really great about playing the 3-minute game with a practice buddy or partner or friend, that they're going to ask you how you want to be touched. And you're going to go, oh shit, I have no idea. No one's ever asked me that. Am I wrong for wanting that? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I want. That's perfectly natural. That's going to happen. But then you get the opportunity to just check in. One thing I encourage people to do is ask your body parts. Okay, feet, do you want this right now? How about you? Legs, knees, are you it? Or is it hips? No. Is it elbows? No. Is it upper arms? Oh, yeah, upper arms. And then, okay, is it squeezing you want? Is it tickling? Is it, yeah, it's squeezing. So just ask your different body parts. That's one way to play with it. Some people get the information from their body, like their arm will say, me, pick me, I want to be squeezed. Some people will get the information visually, like they'll see, okay, I close my eyes, I can see your hand squeezing my arm. That's what tells me that my arm wants to be squeezed. Mostly with clients, it's just a matter of just shut up and give them some time and it'll come to them. But
Mhm.
occasionally, I've had to give people a little more coaching and maybe narrow it down like, okay, waist up or waist down. Waist up. Okay. Front, back, chest, back, shoulders, arms, head. Uh, Shoulders. Okay. Front of the shoulder, back of the shoulder, front of the shoulder. Okay, you want squeezing, rubbing, scratching, tickling, slapping. What sounds good? Squeezing. So it can
Mhm.
help to sort of narrow it down because a lot of people, many people, have not had the experience of being asked what they want. And so of course you don't want because you've never had it before. And how would you know?
Mm.
Because it's a whole new world.
Yeah.
And so starting with something that's feels relatively safe or simple, would you massage my hand? That gives you a place to start. And you do that for 3 minutes and wow, that felt good. Whew, that's a whole new thing. Something I wanted and I asked for and it happened. Holy shit,
Mm.
that's possible. And then
Yeah.
the next time, oh, you know what? That felt good. Maybe I'll try my arm. Will you squeeze my arm? Oh, how about tickling my arm? Or how about scratching my arm? So your repertoire will gradually expand automatically just because it worked. Just because it worked. Your repertoire will expand. And before you know it, you've expanded to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours. Yeah. So there's not really any secret technique to finding out what you want other than experimenting. Like, oh, let's try this. No, that doesn't feel good. Let's try this other thing.
And also finding the self-compassion
Yes.
that there could be moments where you don't know, and there's
Yeah.
reasons why you don't know,
Yeah.
and that
Yes.
there are sensational blank
Mm-hmm.
spaces in
Mm-hmm.
your neural pathways, in your understanding of yourself as a body, it's
Mm-hmm.
blank. And I
Yeah.
remember being in that workshop, and at times people would be lying there, and you would really encourage them to just be with the not knowing. And it could
Mm-hmm.
go on for a while, and
Yeah.
inevitably people could start crying. You would make sure that their partners wouldn't rescue them and just
Mm.
make suggestions about
Yeah.
what they might
Yeah.
want. But for
Yeah.
people to stay in that blankness in itself is profoundly moving and healing for
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
because, wow, it can bring up trauma, it can bring up neglect, just such deep lack of what we
Yeah.
didn't get. We really
Yeah.
needed it.
Yeah.
So it is a powerful thing, this. It's really something you provide for people, Betty. It's just moving even to me, just listening to you talk about
Mm.
it
Thank you.
because of how I recorded a body blog recently about my experience going to a sex party. And what I observed and was surprised by was how unarousing it was to me because there was almost no touch. It was all genital and
Mm,
all this genital activity and so little touch. And of course,
mhm.
sex without touch is an entirely different experience. And so another thing I love about your work is what you're describing can be in a non quote unquote sexual context with
Yes.
somebody you're platonically partnered with.
Yeah.
And then you might
Absolutely.
have to navigate, oh, what happens when it does start feeling sort of tilting into,
Mm,
wow, that tickle actually is making me feel some arousal or some
mhm,
interest or whatever starts coming up. However, it can stay very platonic all the
mhm.
way to arousal and bringing touch into the sexual realm with an intimate partner.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, the lack of touch in our world, I think, is the bane of humans' existence,
I
honestly.
do too. Yeah. Touch is so important. And it's well known scientifically and neurologically how important touch is. Yeah. Wanted touch. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier when you were talking about the quadrant of service, something like, oh, people think this is what will make them a good lover. In your vast experience, what is your view of what makes people good lovers? All four quadrants? Is that necessarily part of what makes people a great lover, or what's your
Well,
perspective on?
thank you for asking. My bias is that to have a full, well-rounded erotic maturity, you need access to all four quadrants. You don't have
Mhm.
to love them all. You can have your favorites. But being afraid of one does not make the other one your favorite. It just means it's the only one you can find. That's
Mhm.
not the same. Yeah.
So you go to the
So,
default one.
yeah, you
Yeah.
go to the default one. And for most people, that's serving or
Yeah.
allowing. So, yeah, for me, I want you to have access to all four quadrants because that's going to be a lot more fun. That allows you and me both to show up in the present moment with the person that we're with and respond according to the moment as it changes. If I only have access to the serve quadrant, that's the only thing I can do when it comes to sex is serve. You may think, oh, lucky me, but actually it gets old pretty fast. If all I can do is serve, then we're playing, rolling around, making out, and I am avoiding anytime you try to serve me, I have to turn it around and serve you instead. I'm avoiding this whole arena of play because I'm trying to keep serving you. And
Yeah.
that's not play. That's outcome management. That's not any fun.
Yeah, it's
So,
control.
yeah, so for me, I believe that for a full erotic maturity, you need access to all four quadrants. Doesn't mean you have to
Yeah.
spend all your time in them equally or anything like that. But yeah.
Do you think the BDSM community, in part, gives the opportunity or perhaps sequesters people more into two of those quadrants or practicing and exploring all four of them in a more exaggerated way, you could say? Is there a particular correlation you would make or could make between the four quadrants and
Hmm.
BDSM?
Well, what happens in BDSM is the same thing that happens in other kinds of touch. So if I'm giving you a flogging, for example, if I think it's for you, it's going to be different than if I think it's for me.
Mm.
Same with you. And so if I'm afraid to do anything except create a sensation in you at arm's length, because I don't want to feel anything myself, then it's the same problem that we have in just regular touch. BDSM is loads of fun and can be a very deeply empowering, insight producing. It can just be quite amazing if it's done well. And
Circumvent.
it doesn't circumvent any of your other
Yeah.
hang-ups
Yeah.
about always being in control and always being this or always being that. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it's easy to think that this is the only kind of sex that's sexy. And it's just as easy, or probably easier, to think that's the only way to be sexy. Like, well, it's one way to be sexy. I'm about to get myself in trouble here because I don't want to say that you don't get to have your favorite turn-ons. Of course you do. And they're going to be different than other people's. And they're probably going to be different than your spouse or partner. So you get to have your own turn-ons. And what I've found for the most part is that the more that I can discover things that are interesting to me, which you'll do in the 3-minute game, that will happen automatically. The more things open up, it's like, oh, this door just opened and that's really interesting. Or, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, I had no idea that I liked this thing and I really like it. Or, oh, I'm no longer afraid of this thing because now I understand it. Okay, now I can go over here and play instead of being terrified of it. My personal bias is that I want to open lots of doors and see what's there and see what appeals to me and what doesn't. And for my clients, that's what I wanted. I wanted to open various doors so that they could find out what's fun and what's not interesting. And again, it's not, okay, we're going to do XYZ so you can learn to like it. No, that is not it. What we're going to
Mhm.
do is create the space for you to start noticing what you want and ask for what you want. And that is what changes everything. Trying to learn to like something that you don't like is not the way to go. Oh, please, just stop that. Much more is finding out what you actually do want.
Which sometimes can happen because somebody asks for something that never would have occurred to you yourself, but it turns out that one,
Yeah,
you're willing to give them or let them do that, and you're like, "Wow, I actually did like that."
yeah,
Or it
yeah,
obviously from your own curiosity and fantasy or exploration or whim or just, "What the hell? Let me see if I like being smacked." "No, I don't." Or, "Yes, I
yeah,
do, but over here, not there." I
yeah.
love this agency that you champion in this process, that it is so much about agency, particularly when there's been trauma, which I want to really emphasize isn't necessarily from what people have done to others or to us, but it can also be what they haven't done and the
Oh,
neglect of touch,
absolutely. Yeah,
neglect, stimulation, and
yeah,
reflection, and just nurturing. Yeah.
absolutely.
I do want to find out more about what you are doing now because you've been at this a long time. I want to know when. Oh my God, I'm so ridiculous. I just always want to know more. But since you
That's
were a
what makes you
hippie,
fun to talk to.
I hope so. Thanks, Betty, because I'm very self-conscious about that. I'm just like my mind is just like
That's
going
why
in
you
all
have a
these.
podcast.
Wow, because I mean, I have to say, like, these are the conversations that I wanna have that are so hard to be had in the world.
Mhm.
That's why I
Yeah,
created the
yeah, yeah,
podcast, because
yeah, yeah.
this is what I wanna talk about. This is what
Yes,
really turns me on, you know? It's
yeah,
not necessarily all the other stuff most people are talking about most of the
yes.
time, at least in my world. But anyway, I'm really curious about your perspective in the last 50 years, you could even say, from the hippie world to the sex positive world now. In what ways are they similar? In what ways are they super different? What concerns you about where the sex positivity world is right now? What do you think is really fantastic about it?
I don't really know much about the sex positive world. I know that there's been a movement, which I think is great, to say sex is not terrible. Sex is actually good. It's worth talking about. It's worth experimenting with. It's worth experiencing. And let's not be ashamed of it. That's great. If you take that to mean that you have to be having as much sex as you possibly can with as many people as you possibly can, that's not
Yeah.
sex positive, that's sex compulsive. I don't think that's really useful.
Yeah.
You can be completely monogamous and be sex positive. You can be asexual and be sex positive. You can be completely celibate and be sex positive. Sex positive doesn't mean that you're getting laid all the time. It just means that in your mind, sex is a good thing. That
Yeah.
it's not something you're ashamed of. I wouldn't say that started with the hippies. There's been threads of that throughout history, I imagine, but it was a big factor in the 60s. Yeah,
So
yeah.
how is it different now? This
Well, yeah.
landscape, you don't, but
I,
you're an epicenter of a big movement,
well,
Betty.
no, I'm not. I'm not the epicenter of sex
Are? Well,
positive.
I just use that term, but you have spokes out from your wheel into many communities and therapeutic practices, and you've made a significant mark.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
Are you proud of
Yeah,
the work?
I am. I'm very
Yeah.
proud of it. And I want to say this about the wheel of consent is that it's a practice. It's not
Yes.
something that replaces your life. It's not something that these four quadrants don't fit into every interaction that you have. You don't have to figure out how they apply here and how apply there. It's a practice for two or more people. And when you do the practice, you learn a lot about yourself. You have some fun, you have some healing, you have some ahas.
Some
Then,
pleasure.
then you have some pleasure. And then you take what you've learned from that practice and you go back into your daily life and you'll start to see things that you didn't see before. You'll start to see this dynamic. Oh, look at what I'm doing there. I don't want to do that anymore. Or, oh, the problem here is that I'm not asking for what I want. Oh, no wonder it's going to bed, So that, yeah, it does translate. It's not just about sex. And so I have made that contribution to the sex positive world. But there are a lot of people who are talking and teaching about sex and sex positivity in ways that are far more rich than I do.
I
I
don't
mean,
agree with that.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
at that ASEC conference with you, and I was amazed at how few people were actually talking about the body and actually talking about touch and contact.
That I am very strong on. Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Touch and yeah, yeah.
that's my point. How, I mean, in my
Well,
view,
that's
but
not touch is not the same thing as sex. I mean, you know that.
no, but sex without touch,
The different
maybe
kind
I'm
of
biased.
sex. You can totally have sex without touch. You can have
It's
sex
true.
without being in the same room. So,
True. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But by having sex not being in the same room, this is an interesting thing, is that imagining touch or sex is still sparking the neural pathways.
Sure. Yeah,
So that's a whole other topic. Maybe if you come back,
yeah.
we'll have a part two. But that's an interesting thing is how virtually and with sexting and the new kind of dating that's going on now, how much eroticism can pass through the airwaves for sure,
Oh,
which is,
a lot, a
yeah.
lot. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if you listened to, I did 2 episodes with this woman, Tanya Diamond, who's having a whole
Mm.
erotic relationship with an AI.
Oh, yeah.
There's
I've heard of
there's
that.
there's not a body there on
Yeah,
one side.
yeah, 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 yeah.
She says it's the best sex she's ever had.
That's
So,
fabulous.
hey,
That's why they say the biggest sex organ is your brain,
yeah.
because
Mm,
it's the meaning that you bring to it. Well, I would say it's pretty safe to guess that for you and me, touch is a big part of good sex. And
yeah.
quality touch is a really big part of good sex. It's very true for me. If your touch is not good, we ain't going anywhere because I have a very well developed sense of the quality of touch. That's important for us, but it's not important for everybody. Yeah, like you can have sex that is not touch at all. You can have sex that's whips and chains and it's very sexy and not really touch at all. So the wheel of consent is about taking apart receiving and giving. I think it's best learned with touch because you get a somatic sense of what giving and receiving is, and it's very different. That's my favorite way to learn. That's the way we teach it in our workshops. Is it possible to learn it without touch? Oh, of course. Yeah. And does it apply to things that are not touch? Absolutely. Applies to time, attention, help, listening, picking the pears off your tree. It applies to a lot of things. And it's especially important in the realms of touch and professional touch because if I'm touching people professionally, I need to be very clear about who that's for, and
Mhm.
it's for them. And I need to be very clear on my own integrity about my own desires and boundaries and stuff. Yeah. So in the world of professional touch, it is super important. And the world of personal touch is just a lot more fun to start to experiment and start to take those things apart, and your repertoire builds, your capacity for pleasure builds. Yeah, totally.
So are you teaching professionals particularly or specifically these courses or hoping to move it even more into the mainstream with physicians and chiropractors? Or do you tend to have a smorgasbord of whoever shows up at your workshops?
Well, I developed a workshop, a 5-day workshop training for practitioners called Like a Pro. And that's mainly for hands-on professionals originally. We've been
Mhm.
having more and more people come who are not hands-on. We have a lot of psychotherapists coming these days, which is really great because they are
Fantastic.
seeing their clients need it. A lot of sex therapists come these days, and I've trained other people to teach that class. We now have 7 other people teaching it besides me, and so I'm stepping back from teaching that. And they're excellent teachers. They're really good. And we're
Mm.
teaching all over the world, just about 12 or 14 times a year around the world. So there's plenty of
Fantastic.
opportunity for that. And we've also trained people to teach a 2 or 3 day Wheel of Consent workshop for the general public, and 50 people teaching that around the world. So yes, it has definitely grown, and I'm very happy about that, and very happy to be stepping back a bit. We've trained up those teachers, let them go and teach. And it's also really interesting, which I find exciting, that the central practice of the Wheel of Consent is really a simple practice. And then you can see how it applies to this part of life. We have people taking it to schools and young people. We have people taking it to physicians. We have people taking it to work in liberation contexts. We have people in dance, various kinds of dance communities. So people are taking it to their communities, and
Love
that's
that.
really exciting to me. I feel, okay, I delivered the thing. You guys take and run with it.
That's exactly what I'm working
Yeah,
on with personal geometry too. I love your
yeah,
model
yeah,
and
yeah.
really admire it a lot. So what is next for you, Betty, for the next 30 years, 20 years, however long you live? Are you
Uh,
gonna just keep working until you fall over or what's gonna
Probably. I'm like I said, I'm setting aside the teaching of that class, and the new faculty is taking over, and so I'm setting that aside, and I'm looking forward to speaking at conferences. I'm speaking at the Sexual Health Alliance conference in October in Denver, and offering just odds and ends like that, I think, that catch my interest. Of course, the book is out, and so that keeps chugging along. Yeah.
Yeah, the links for all of those wonderful things will certainly be in the show notes. And the title of the book, though, let's hear it.
The Art of Receiving and Giving, The Wheel of Consent.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Betty, I've loved this conversation. I just loved it from start to almost finish. And as I ask almost everybody at the end, how do you define embodiment?
I define embodiment as being sensually, sensorially aware of your body, and being able to move your body in ways that are expressive for you instead of just in prescribed ways, and in being able to make sense of and use the sensations of your body, which mostly means emotions, because emotions are basically sensations, pretty much, and being fluent with what they feel like and what you do with them, being able to enjoy the sensations of your body instead of holding them at arm's length, being attuned to the impulses to move your body. Yeah, it's a pretty big order. It's funny we say, "I'm in my body, I'm not in my body." Well, of course, you're in your body because there's nowhere else to be, like, you're in your body. So what does it mean to be, quote, "in your body"? I think it just means being aware of the constant stream of sensation that's coming into your consciousness with varying degrees of awareness about it. Yeah.
Love. And what do you enjoy most about being your body?
Mm, I love stretching. I
Mm.
love the sensation of stretching and moving. And yeah, moving and dancing probably some of my biggest pleasures. Yeah.
Even more than sex?
Um, well, sex involves moving and dancing.
Right on, very good.
Definitely involves moving. Yeah.
All right, so do you wanna take us through a beautiful little process to help wake up
Okay.
the hand?
Okay.
Just a shortened version.
Sit someplace comfy and lean back so that your trunk is not supporting your weight. You can lie down too if you want, but most people like to sit up. And if you can find a pillow or a cushion or a folded up towel or something to put in your lap, that can be helpful. And then pick up some random object around you. Here's my little chapstick thing. And letting your hands rest on your lap. Feel this thing you got in your hand. What's the shape of it? What's the texture of it? What's the temperature of it? Is there a place that's smooth or scratchy or bumpy or fuzzy? Just feel whatever you notice about that thing. And usually the first thing you notice is that, oh, I get it, it's chapstick, yep, whatever. But if you stay there a little longer, you'll start to notice these details. Oh, there's a little bumpy edge right there. Oh, there's ridges over here. Oh, it's smooth on this part. So you're just giving your hands time to start to pay attention to whatever sensation is available there. And after a while, you'll start to notice that the object is kind of interesting, but what's really interesting is the sensation in your hand. So your attention will shift from the object to your hand. And you might notice that it's pleasant. At some point, it will become pleasant. We might have to sit here for quite a while, but at some point, it becomes pleasant. Oh, that feels kind of nice. And you might, if you want to, experiment with holding the object in one hand and using it to scratch or tickle or poke the other hand. And all your hands are still in your lap because you want to not be engaging the muscles of your arm if you can help it. You might use it to tickle or scratch. You might explore the back of your hand, the front of your hand, the fingertips, in between the fingers, wherever you want. That's interesting. You just keep doing this for a while. You might switch hands if you want. You could switch objects if you want. You might notice that your mind wanders. That's okay. Just bring it back. Then it wanders again. It's okay. Just bring it back again. That's its job. You'll also probably notice, if you haven't already, that the slower you go, the more you feel. If your hands are fidgeting, you're not going to actually feel very much. If you move your hands slowly or move the object slowly, you'll feel a lot more. And of course, you can stop anytime you want because it's just you. And after a while, it may be happening now, it may take a while. After a while, you notice that there's nobody doing anything to you here. Your sensation is created by your own movement. And also, you're not doing anything to anybody else. There's no one to please here. It's just you and the nerve cells in your hands. That's all we're doing with here. So for some people, this kind of lights up right away. For some people, it takes a while. For most people, it takes a little fiddling around with it and playing with it. And what I invite you to do, if you want, is to do this about 5 minutes every day for a few weeks and just see what you notice. Sometimes, not uncommonly, people will have a lot of feelings that will come up. It's very common for tears of tenderness to come up, and gratitude will come up pretty often. Sadness will come up pretty often. Curiosity and silliness sometimes will come up. That's fine. It's just your brain cells talking to each other. Doesn't mean anything about you. It's just when those brain cells start talking to each other. Yeah. So 5 minutes a day for a few weeks, or just hang out with it for the next half hour if you want. See what you notice.
Thanks, Betty. You're a treasure. You really are. I loved our time
Thanks.
together.
Thanks for having me. It was a very fun conversation.
So glad.
Yeah. And we'll have to have another session where we just talk about the sex part.
Oh, I'm always happy to talk about the sex part. I'll email you. We'll set it up.
Okay. Great. Take care.
Here, Betty. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for being with us. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. And we'd be so grateful if you could share it with a friend, leave a review, and rate the podcast. This really does help us reach more people in our mission to expand the global understanding, experience, and celebration of body brilliance. And just so you know, our events and content remain free in our effort to expand the meaning of intelligence, but we do gratefully accept donations to help with our operating costs. So if you have a bit extra and feel so inspired, you can find the link to support us in the show notes. And while you're there, check out all the resources we've included to help you dive deeper into today's topics. You can also visit www.thebrilliantbodypodcast.com for a complete list of episodes, body meditations, and many more brilliant things. And if you're curious to explore how I work with clients and students to reclaim body brilliance, visit my website at www.alimezey.com. And lastly, a huge hearty thank you to my co-producer and co-editor, the brilliant Florence Popoff, and to Blair, Mr. One Man Band Wilson, for our theme music. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, stay loving, and reclaim your brilliant body.